Hey guys, what's up? Another beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today we've got a video for you, part of our maintenance series. We're going to check a couple of things on our alignment. Specifically, we're going to check toe and we're going to check camber. Lots of ways to do this, tons of information on the internet and on YouTube's. But this is the way we like to do it. It's simple, it's cheap, it's a grassroots way of doing it. The most important thing is that it's repeatable, and it's repeatable here in the garage. It's repeatable at the track if you have maybe a little off-road excursion or you get a little love tap from somebody. It's a great way to come back into the pits, pull out some very simple tools, and do a quick check. So what we're going to do today is we'll walk you through the process. If after you watch the video you have some other ideas, ways to improve, different ways that you like to do it, please leave comments in the doobly-doo below, and we'll be sure to check them out. Maybe we'll learn a thing or two as well. So today, we're going to start off with a couple of simple tools that I'll walk you through here, and then Alec and I will walk you through the process. All right, guys, so here's the simple tools you'll need. 4 jack stands, y'all probably have that. Tape measure. I've got a little rule here that's in millimeters. You can do it in inches, it doesn't really matter, but this just happens to work with us.
And some string. And just like a certain mini-series, ours is in color.
So with that, we're going to go set this thing up. Hopefully this will be a quick time lapse for you, and then we'll come back and show you all the little details. All right, guys, so we're back. We've got the 4 jack stands set up. We've got some string between them, and then we'll walk you through what's really important. Here's the concept. You really want the strings to be as parallel to the car as possible. And so then you're going to take measurements from the edge of the wheel to the string on all 4 sides. So that's really the important thing, is that they're parallel and they're on center with the wheels themselves. And we'll show you that. It's pretty straightforward. And with jack stands, it's really easy to adjust up and down and forward and back. So I'll bring you in close here, show you what we're doing, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, guys, now that we got the jack stands set up, really there's a couple of very important things. One is you want to make sure the jack stands are in front, the front bumper, like this, and then behind the back bumper. And the reason that's important is later on we're going to be measuring between the two as well. But the first step in all of this, after everything is nice and tight, your string is nice and tight, is to try to get the string on center with a point on your rim, because then you know the height is right, because later on we're going to be taking measurements here, measurements here. The other thing I forgot to mention is it's a good idea to put something underneath the front 2 tires. I use 2 pieces of cardboard. I've seen guys use plastic bags, old magazines. Technique we've never tried, but I've heard works well, is 2 pieces of linoleum kind of flipped over and facing each other. And the reason that's important is because you're going to be, your helper or you are going to be moving these back and forth to get them kind of squared up, and then the steering wheel squared up. And it just helps reduce the friction between the tires and the ground. So you're trying to get more of a true straight, if that makes sense. So first step, after we've got all this taunt, is we're going to go ahead and raise the front and back jack stands up until the string is on center with the wheels themselves. All right, so this is where having a helper really is beneficial. So Alec, if you want to raise yours up on the back, and I'll raise mine up in the front, and we'll try to get these pretty close. I'm actually pretty good. It doesn't show up on camera here as level, but believe us, it's level. So I think that that's good. Now you just want to make sure that it's taut and tight. And then we'll go ahead and do the other side and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so we're back. So now we've got both the front and the rear pretty close to being on center. We've also got them pretty close to the tire, and this is what it should look like when it's all done for this step. So you're pretty close, you're not touching. Obviously, you don't want it touching front and rear. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure from a point on the rim that's repeatable, and these rims are all the same. On alls, we're not using any spacers, so these are stock offsets. And we're going to take a measurement from something fairly known close to the center. So this little ring here out to the string, and we're going to try to get both left and right side, the same on the front, and then the same on the rear. Now here's a caveat. Some cars have different track widths, front and rear. On a E30, the fronts are actually total is 8 millimeters wider. And so it'll be 4 millimeters wider on each side. So what does that mean? As we get these squared up in the front, if we did the same in the rear, then you would be off by 4 millimeters per side. You'd actually have it kind of like this, right? They're not parallel. So what we're going to do is we'll get the measurement in the front, and then we're going to add 4 millimeters to our distance in the rear, and then everything then should go from this to that and be parallel. Now then we'll be able to start making some measurements. All right, guys, so that one of the other steps that you want to take, and I mentioned it earlier, is you want to keep your steering wheel square and straight. So what we're going to do is this little yellow mark on our steering wheel is at the 12 o'clock position. We know that that's going to be straight based on past alignment. So what you want to do is kind of work it back and forth, and that's where the little pieces of cardboard I mentioned earlier allow this to slide a lot better. You're not fighting the tire. You can kind of hear it maybe in the background. And so we'll try to get that straight, and then we'll take a look, and then we'll get it moved around a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good. So now we're going to start taking some measurements from this point to here on the both front and rear, and then compensate like I talked about for the track width. And then we'll start showing you how to take measurements, and that's about it. All right, we're back. So that was tedious. So we've gone ahead and measured each wheel to the string. So in the front, on the driver's side, we're at about 7.4 centimeters. Passenger is about 7.4 centimeters. And because we've compensated in the rear for the track width difference, we're at about 7 centimeters on this side, and then 7 centimeters on the other side. So now that we're pretty square to the car, we can continue. And we're going to start taking measurements. And this is measuring toe out. So toe out, front of the rim, pointing out, toe in, front of the rim, pointing in. And on our car, we like to run a little bit of toe out in the front. And then on the rear, we like to run a little bit of toe in. And so you want to just check that. It's super simple. Now we're going to measure from the front to here and the rear to here. The difference is basically your toe in or toe out. All right, so we're all done with the measurements. We've measured front of the rim to the string, rear of the rim to the string on the front and back, and we verified we have a little bit of toe out in the front and a little bit of toe in the back. And that'll help us turn in well, and it'll help rotate the rear as we go through. It's just what these cars like. So the next thing we're going to do is show you, again, a pretty simple low dollar way to check camber. And camber is basically how much the top of the rim of the wheel leans inward or outward. And on race cars, you tend to run more negative camber. So when you hear camber, it's actually a negative number, hopefully, on newer cars. And what you want is you want the top of your rim inboard more than the bottom of the rim. So the angle is like that compared to the rest of the car. And it's a super easy measurement to use.